Yeah, very happy to be talking to you. I'd like to talk in a minute more depth about Wicket and what Wicket does in the area of facial recognition and then some of the issues that are associated with that. Um, but I'll start at 35,000 feet and I'll sort of zero in because today, as I was driving to a meeting, I was listening to some pundits on MSNBC or someplace, and they were talking about AI and attitudes towards AI. And they were saying the average American just doesn't trust AI. They don't know if it's good for them. There was some effort to associate AI with socialism, which I found to be quite a stretch. But 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 the point was that there is, we're almost coming up on kind of the 2 year anniversary of the penny dropping on AI, right? With
Yep.
ChatGPT and so forth.
Right.
And it's everywhere. Everybody talks about it. No doubt somebody's children will be dressing up as AI this Halloween. And the question is, how does an industry deal with the initial distrust of an entire population?
I- that's a very interesting place to start, and it's a great question, David. I think to me, I think it comes down to other sort of big technological shifts, or enhancements that or improvements that have been made, where I feel like there's sort of two audiences as companies are talking about AI or talking about new technology. There's the sort of echo chamber of the industry itself, where people are trying to rush to say we're AI and we're doing AI in a new way, and we're AI this and AI that, and sort of out prove each other, or out impress each other with how much they're doing with AI. I think on the other hand, as you're dealing with buyers, whether those be consumers in a B2C environment or other businesses in a B2B environment, to me, it's important to step back and focus on what service or product or capability you're delivering and why that is better because of AI. And less so focused on, assuming that everybody's going to be excited because you're doing something with AI, and instead focus on what are we able to do now. And maybe that's because of AI, and maybe you don't even need to emphasize the AI as much from an end customer perspective, but show how you're delivering a better service or better capability than you would have been able to if it wasn't for AI.
Yeah, no question about it. And I think one of the things we've been quite interested in is that, there are a lot of these generalized views towards AI, but of course, um, AI is many things. It's not all AGI. A lot of AI is applied AI. And in fact, more people will encounter applied AI in their daily lives than will ever encounter AGI or know they're doing it. And your business is a perfect example of that. Somebody goes
Yes.
to a Cleveland Browns football game and they see there's a line moving faster that can get them into the stadium, and they discover some people have downloaded a selfie, and all of a sudden the selfie becomes their ID because they're identified. That's what Wicket does, right? I
Exactly.
mean, you
Yep.
please explain it. But that is facial recognition technology that wouldn't be possible without
Exactly.
AI. Is that correct?
No, absolutely. Yeah. Computer vision technology, facial recognition technology is a discipline of AI. We have computer vision algorithms that effectively enable computers to see by breaking down those images into patterns, and then using machine learning to train computers to identify faces in those patterns and then match those faces. And we can get more into exactly what Wicket does with this, but that is computer vision technology, which is a field of AI. And again, we tend to then, as you just cited, focus on what does this mean for fans going to a Cleveland Browns game or a Brooklyn Nets game or a conference or whatever it may be. You're going to have a better experience because of that. And don't lead with so much, hey, this is the AI lane. This is the fast lane. This is the better experience thanks to this technology.
Yeah, and I mean the reality is, you know, people who were not exposed to this a couple of years ago, and I think you guys got Wicked got its start sort of in mid COVID, right? It was kind of
Yep.
five
Correct.
five years ago, right? So
Yep.
people, this was new.
Yeah,
But now it's everywhere. My wife just got back from China. She was in
exactly.
Guangzhou Airport. She walked up to the flight board to look up her flight, and it said, "Oh, hi, Carla. Your flight's at gate 34." And so there's some of that, right? I'm actually on the advisory board of a company that uses this technology to identify license plates and to look under cars to see whether there's a bomb under the
Yep.
car, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And more recently, and a bit more ominously, I think, in the minds of some people, this week there have been stories in the newspaper about how ICE has little cameras that are on
Mm,
their uniforms, and the cameras look at somebody's face and they go into a database and they say, this person is an illegal alien or
yep.
not.
Right.
And, it's made a little more ominous by the fact that they said, even if you have a birth certificate, if our database says you're illegal, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
we don't have to get into the legal ramifications of that. But all of a sudden, it seems very big brothery. And surely that's some of the pushback you guys get. How do you deal with it?
Yeah, no, that's a great point, David. And even shy of the ICE example, there have been numerous other examples where people have used facial recognition technology in a very different way than the way we use it, in more of a surveillance and apprehension, using much lower confidence in terms of assuming that the person that they're seeing in the image is actually the person that they have a picture of someplace else. We deal with this in a couple ways. One, the use of our technology is always opt-in the venues that we sell it to and use it. This is something that fans or attendees or employees or wherever it's being used consent to use. They provide a selfie that is used as the matching photo. So it's a very high quality image. In fact, I literally was just on another call where we were talking about improving some of the algorithms we use to make sure that the picture that is uploaded as the selfie is a very, very high quality image, so that then when somebody does go to gain access to a space, whether that's a ticketed sporting event or an office or the locker room at an NFL game, that when they're walking up to then a camera there, that the matching is exceedingly high. So we get a much better and more accurate match rate. And again, people are opting into it and can opt out of it at any time. And I guess the third sort of important aspect is we are not monetizing or selling or sharing these photos and this information with third parties. The venues that we work with, they own the data, they own all this information, and they are only using it for the purposes of, again, improving the fan experience or improving venue security or whatever it may be. So it is very different than the sort of surveillance or blacklisting examples or other things that people have done to use facial recognition in a potentially more ominous way.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can imagine the way people sort of look at this, because once you've got people's faces stored in systems, and they become a kind of, to use a bad analogy, they become kind of our individual UPCs, right? It becomes a unit that can be shared around and said, I'm looking for this person. And police, surveillance operations are using this kind of thing and so forth. Is there a constraint legally or that you impose that says that your collaborator in this, a sports team, for example, cannot share the data with a police department or cannot share the data with somebody who wants to monetize it?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, the venue owns the data. The venue owns that information, just like they own other information they have about the fans who sign up for loyalty programs, or fans who consent to be in their fan database or whatever it may be. So it is something that the venues themselves own, and we've had, I was actually at a security conference last year where we had several of our teams on stage with me, and they each said that, they are very intentionally not sharing or selling that data to anybody, because it is again, it's sensitive, it's PII information, and they're being very careful about it. So, but at the end of the day, it is the venues that own that data. Unlike other systems, we're not centralizing it into some big massive database that then is shared across those facilities or could be shared with some third party by us.